Missed it. You missed it.
Am I supposed to say something?
No, the switch has to be on 4.
It's on 3.
It's on 4. Your thing is on 4. There it is.
Oh, okay.
Welcome. What's up? Daddy's back, bitches. This is The Option. This is episode 3. I'm Jason DeBeas, your hostess with the mostest. Just got back from New York and just getting off the plane. The sensational, enigmatic Alexa Strange. What's good?
That was very enigmatic. Thank you. What's up, guys?
Yeah. I think I had one of them stutter moments. It's Alexa.
I tend to do that to men, you know.
Strange.
Yeah, make them stutter.
You see a hand come off this camera, be like, so what's up, man? Just got back from New York, huh?
Yeah, I just
man.
got back this morning. Took a red eye. It's pretty brutal. But I'm stoked to be here and talk about some cool shit.
Cool, man. We could definitely talk about my trip, but ain't nobody in the mood for that, dude. There's something about riding the E-train on weekends to get to the airport, and they're doing track work. And three years later, you still doing track work? What's up, man? Who'd you play with?
So I played with Bree Scarborough in this last tournament. It was a new partnership. I recently, in the past month and a half, went through 2 breakups, one with my boyfriend and with my previous beach volleyball partner. So it has been a very eventful past couple weeks for me, and somehow I was able to slide in and get in with Bree. She's an amazingly talented,
isn't she?
An experienced player. Yeah, I love her. So it's been really fun.
I like Bree because she's one of those partners where you don't have to deal with your partner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I have one of these sort of alpha, dominating female personalities, but deep down there's this desire to have someone else sort of take control, particularly on the volleyball court. I'm a very analytical player, but it's nice to have someone that brings a lot of experience that is even more analytical than me and is able to break the game down very concisely and sort of take that leadership role on.
Yeah.
Where,
so not everybody has that.
Yeah. I mean, it's very rare to find. So I kind of just have been chilling in the back, listening to her words of wisdom and yeah.
Well, it's good to have a partner. Listen, I'm getting hired for that. I'm like analytics and this and that. That got me the job at LMU. I was working a little bit with Rafu. Just Rafu, not Ed, but I think I have this feeling after them 2 losses, Ed might be on board too. And Jeff, whatever. So let's talk about what comes up next. Is Bree someone you want to continue to play with?
Well, if there's...
Or did you get her on loaner? You got Bree on loaner?
No. If there's one thing I've learned from so last year was my first year playing professionally. This year is my second. Last year was all just about getting the logistics of what it's like to play professionally and get everything organized, which can be very overwhelming. And now this year, it's more about consistently getting into that main draw, building up my points, and becoming a top player. But I've always been. It's so funny because I can't do monogamous relationships and romantic relationships. But for some reason,
you already got a boyfriend. It's volleyball.
Yeah, exactly. But for some reason with volleyball, I have this huge desire to have this monogamous beach volleyball relationship with a partnership where it lasts the entire season. So last year I went in with that expectation. This year I went in with that expectation. Both times I went through breakups, and it was honestly getting a little piece of your heart ripped out in a way. And I think what it's taught me.
Yeah. We're looking at Miranda right now. Miranda, my tech girl, she just goes,
yeah. Yeah, it's a lot. So
in church right now.
I think what I've learned is we're not married to each other. So when you're not married, it is more of you're dating different people and you have to find what's right at the moment. And I think I was going into this mindset where I was forcing relationships long term, where sometimes one person's good at this time, then you have to move on and grow with someone else.
Yeah.
And especially I think when you're starting out, that's even more so important.
I think with that being said, and I'm going to pull this thing up. You sit tall. I'm sitting like a midget, dude. I'm sorry. Apologies to midgets out there. I don't even know what the term is. I think as you continue to find your monogamy, I thought you've been very diligent in finding ways to there it is, just force that.
Yeah.
Finding ways to make the main draw with different partners. I had a conversation with Eric Baranek. I remember I told you earlier on, last year he made the draw 6 times with 5 different partners, and And I guess I'm asking you about the formula. Is it about right partnerships? Just about just proper preparation physically? Because we know the qualifier could be equivalent to the gladiator pits.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I think yes, physical condition is like number one because you're essentially playing a tournament to get into a tournament and then play another tournament. And it's grueling because I think when you're young, especially your body is a lot more like has a lot more endurance. I didn't really realize like, wow, playing 4 to 5 games and then having to play the next day is like my legs are tired. Like I can't jump as high.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't even realize it, because you are in good physical shape. But then it's like, oh, I'm just taping a little bit more than I normally do. I'm
Yeah.
just a second slower. And then you get to the
Against
next level.
against a team who have probably one of the top four,
Yeah,
right? It's
yeah, that's like like played in the Olympics or something, and you're like,
jeez. And that's what the winners of the qualifier get. It's like, what do the losers
Yeah.
get? Fuck off. Oh my God.
no. So yeah, so I think physical preparation is a huge thing, and of course the mental component. It's a grind, and I think like every aspect of life, it's about just not giving up and keep going. I think if you have like the skills, at that point it just becomes who has more of like the mental drive and the discipline to like keep going, because in reality in sports, like you really have to train your brain not to look at anything as failure. Like it's all learning and growing. And I don't know, even for me, like I'm trying not to get too wrapped up in results right now, because I can just see myself as a player and a person growing through every tournament, and I know it's only a matter of time before I'm like in there just crushing it.
Yeah, and
consistently.
and I share your sentiment, because it's the old adage of you win or you learn gets a bad rep. It's like, oh, that's just vague. What does that even mean? Well, it's vague because it means a lot of things. You just gave one of many examples. I was talking about Eric. You're just talking about yourself, and those are two different paths that where you guys are as a common denominator, better versions of yourself.
Yeah.
And that's all you could ask for, is a better version of yourself good enough.
Yeah.
Of course not. It's never good enough, but is it good enough this time for the qualifier? Is it good enough for points? Is it good enough for this? And it's good enough for that. And you play with Bree. Who'd you play with in Austin?
With Emily Hartong.
And that was Hermosa Beach as well.
Yeah. So I could just go through what happened with like. So after college, I went through like this existentialist crisis of like your 20s, where you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm done with school now, and like I've always been told just to go to school and work hard and play sports. Like, do I want to use my brain and get a real job in my degree? Do I want to pursue this life of professional beach volleyball, which is very intimidating because it doesn't have the monetary like comfort to know, oh, like I'm going to sign like $1 million contract and I'm set for the year. It's like, no, if you're not winning, like
for you guys watching, the 90s was a long time ago.
And then I love art. I have this artistic side. I love designing clothes and drawing. So that's something I've always wanted to do. And it's so funny because like now in retrospect, like volleyball connects all those things. I'm going to be able to I use my brain. It's like a business, I'm constantly learning, working with other brands and companies, learning how to sell myself in a good way.
Of course.
Not a yeah, anyway.
You didn't have the camera on me on that one, right? Good. Kelly Campbell, I love you very much.
Yeah, business stuff, and then just volleyball, obviously, like that's the athletic component, and then all of that is about building a brand for yourself. So eventually where I see myself long term is like using my platform and all this stuff to get into fashion and that type of thing. So it's funny, I was like so paralyzed by like all these choices, and I didn't want to pigeonhole myself in one thing, and I was so freaked out. I like started babysitting, getting paid under the table like an illegal.
There you go.
Don't arrest me. Sorry. Pay
No.
taxes on that.
That's right. Don't come at my nanny either.
That's incriminating.
So what? Listening.
No, but so I was doing that, and I think that just sort of like, first of all, nannying is hard. You learn to multitask in ways you would never imagine. And I had 3 kids, but it was really good for me because I think it allowed me to reflect. Yeah, 3 little babies. They were so cute. It allowed me to like really reflect on myself and look like inherently like what I wanted out of life. And from there, I started working for this fashion designer. He's a really wealthy fashion designer, and he really encouraged me to go back into my volleyball career. But as it turns out, he had some other ulterior stuff
Okay.
involved in that as well. So essentially, I stopped working for him. And as a result, I lost my job. I no longer had my apartment. So I was kind of like at that point where like I had nothing, you know, like I have my degree to fall back on. Of course,
Yeah.
I could always find another job. But at this point in my life, it's like, oh, like I'm starting from fucking scratch.
Yeah.
So when you're starting from scratch, it like sort of gave me that that freedom from a fear of failure at that point, because at that point I really had nothing to lose.
It can only get better.
Yeah, it
Can't get
can only go up
yeah,
from there.
there you
So I
go.
really had I had nothing to lose at that point, and I knew in my heart I always wanted to do volleyball. I was just afraid, like, what if I don't do well? Like, people are gonna think I'm a loser. Like, what if I can't afford to pay for the travel? What if I can't afford to pay for the coaching? How do I organize practices? Is anyone even gonna want to play with me? Like, do I still have a reputation as like this wild child, you know, free spirit? Are people not going to take me seriously and see that like I'm actually a committed
It's a whole
professional?
whole slew of concerns like that.
Yes.
Oh my God. So yeah.
Sorry, go on.
No, here's the good news about that. I mean, addressing those things one at a time, and I can speak knowledge through experience. When I was your age, I was check to check, living in Brooklyn. Okay, living in this studio, whatever. Didn't know if I was gonna get fired from my job, because the lower the position you are, the more they're like, we don't need this guy. We could use this person for less money. So one, I feel you. Two, I think people are starting to appreciate someone's, like, let's say you're a party girl, you know, wild style lifestyle.
The thing is, I'm like not a party girl. I just have like a zest for
And
life.
I'm suggesting,
no filter.
and I'm suggesting that even if you are, and I can use Taylor Crabb as an example. All right, Taylor Crabb. Yeah, I hear stories all the time about that guy. You know, him being carried out the club. It was almost like Austin, right? Austin is. They made it sound like people just like mosh pit carried him to the court and threw him on to lose that first round.
Yeah.
But something I got about Taylor, and I get the same thing from you. You're able to compartmentalize those things. You have never been late for anything. You're always on time.
Oh.
No, your parents are, okay, not you. You run a tight ship. You're on time. You're with your partner. You're in practice. You give it 110%. You have media obligations. You don't blow people off. I mean, you're here right now. You know, and for me, it's really, really tough to get female guests for some reason. Maybe they don't like the Yankees, or maybe I'm just looking at people creepy. I'm like, you know, like I'm
No.
But I think look, if you party too hard, it's gonna catch up with you. I get that, but you've never not met any of your professional obligations. So what the fuck is the problem?
Well, the thing is, I think like I was battling this stigmatism. I used to smoke a lot of pot, and I do not smoke anymore because that was really like causing me to procrastinate on life, and like
it's not for everybody.
No, it's not. It's not.
It's not for everybody, right? Like Joe Rogan smokes. He's good.
Like
some people it's not.
Yeah, how alcohol is for some people, like as an alcoholic, and it's like destructive in their lives or whatever. In a way, like weed was like that for me, and it was in such a subtle way because like it was just causing me to miss out on opportunities, or like, you know, not be at like, it's like something like this. Maybe if I was getting stoned, like I'd be like, oh, like I don't know if I want to go, you know. But like it's like now I have so much energy, like there's just like so much more like zest for life.
Yeah, I offered to get her a coffee, and she was like,
you don't want to.
She's like, me coffee? Hell no. This is her without caffeine, people.
Yeah, and I mean, it was a really big problem for me in college. I actually got in trouble for a drug test, and it was like I would get kicked off the team if I failed another one, and for like that wasn't incentive enough for me to stop. Like I would like that's an addict, you know. And I think most athletes, we have addictive personalities. I think that's part of like what makes us like great is our ability to get addicted to our sports and our work ethic. And I think the smoking was taking away from being able to put energy into volleyball, and it was going into a more destructive area.
Right.
It was just kind of causing me to stagnate, you know, and be complacent.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing. It was making me complacent.
And I would suggest you, given your age, at a young age, I think it's I'm gonna just say I salute that you put that up early,
Mm,
because there's some people they're like, no, I can handle it. I'm good and this and that, and you'll see professional athletes at like let's just say the top three sports,
mhm,
where like there's a football player, right?
mhm.
I'm just gonna put it this way, the best way I know how, and stop babbling. I'm just gonna fucking put it to you straight. If I am a professional athlete and someone's giving me a 3-year, $10 million contract, and they're telling me all I have to do is stay off the weed,
Yeah,
and they still smoke,
yeah.
there's some people, it's a discipline thing,
Mhm.
Alexa, and there's some people it's a neurological thing. They're
Yeah.
neurologically addicted, and that's a mental health issue, which we can certainly explore as we continue to go through
Yeah,
this casting.
most
Um,
certainly. And I think that's
but
what it was. I started smoking in 7th grade. Like, you
Damn.
know, that's scary. I can't imagine, seeing a little 7th grader doing that. And I think like my brain wasn't
Mhm.
developed, and it
Yeah.
stuck with me, and it was hard to get out of that habit. And
Yeah.
I mean, no,
You,
nothing
you
against
know, I
people
never,
that do,
you know, I never smoked.
Really?
Never even a cigarette.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think for some
Mm.
people, like, they can have a healthy relationship with it. I'm not
Mm.
saying like no one should do that.
No,
Like,
of course.
it's your body, your choices. But for me, it was holding me back for
Yeah.
sure. It was like, you're either gonna smoke pot or you can't do it at all.
Right.
And I finally reached that point of maturity where I was like, I
It's
cannot
like,
do that.
it's like a relationship too, right? Like if you hook up with someone, listen, either both of y'all change or both of y'all stay the same.
Yeah.
If he's a weed head and you be like, I'm just gonna go straight, and your house smells like a fucking skunk, cause of this or that. Nah, you're right. Nah, Alexa, you did what you had to do, and you're a better version of yourself, and I
Yeah.
know that, and you know that.
But
you
going
know?
back to what you were saying
Please.
about the partying, like I think it was more like that aspect, just like, and just being like, I have no fucking filter. Like, I say what is on my mind. Like, I make dirty jokes. I say inappropriate things, and like, that's me. That's me. And I don't want to live my life ever without any regrets. And like, I am a person, like, there's certain things, like, I crave life experiences. If sometimes I think the consequences are worth like the experience, fuck it, I'm gonna take the consequence,
Yeah.
And I don't think everybody's like that or understands that. And I think that comes off sometimes as like wild or whatever. But
No, we got a straight edge superstar here. Like that's what there's a wrestler, and I used to be a wrestling head called CM Punk. Doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, and they nicknamed him the straight edge superstar. And he is extroverted like you. He's wild like you. He speaks off the cuff.
yeah.
Sometimes these guys have a script, and sometimes they're intelligent enough to do their own promo to promote the sport.
Mhm.
I think you're magnificently good for the sport of beach volleyball, because I think everybody has to have a balance on. I mean, we don't need 5 Alexas. We really only need one. I
Oh,
mean,
man.
I can't even imagine 2 of you. But
I
that's
know.
so.
I can barely handle myself
Yeah.
as it is.
But it's one of those things where you as a person, and for people that have a problem with what you're saying, this is my message to them. They have to allow you to work.
Mm.
All right. Jamie Foxx, who was on Joe Rogan's podcast and was talking about like how comedy died, like Eddie Murphy, right? And Delirious, he's like, hey, listen, I got a second rule. He's like, faggots ain't allowed to look at my ass while I'm on stage. That's why I keep moving around. I don't know where the faggot section is, right? You can't say that now.
Mm-hmm.
You can't say that now, or maybe Chris Rock can, because he can say whatever he wants. But the point I'm trying to make is, as we can in this experimental life, as we as human beings are constantly evolving, we as human beings are being sensitive to more people's needs, and we as human beings are still trying to find a humor, a way to poke fun at each other, and it's not hurtful. You got to let us work.
Yeah.
You got to listen. I'm not saying you're a comedian, but I'm just saying for you, it's similar to your personality. For people that might take exception to that, you got to let her work.
Yeah.
We got to let you work.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it deep down, like, those behaviors, it all stems like from like pain and like experiences. And I'm 25, but I've been through like a lot.
Hashtag 2 lifetimes.
Yeah, I've had a lot of life experiences. I remember being in like counseling at USC after failing my drug test, and my counselor was like, how are you, like, basically like, how are you not fucked up? Like, just especially like sexually with guys, I've just had a lot taken from me from a young age. And I think like the pot and all that stuff was self-medicating and almost like ways to deal with that stuff. And learning to like love myself again, and in this way, like it's almost like this extroverted facade was also like to protect me and like not allow anyone to get like too close to me, like you know, I was like I'm like the most open closed person.
I'm gonna stop you right there with a very important question. Was volleyball one of those ways to deal with it?
Oh yeah, that volleyball was like the thing that saved my fucking life. It's like that's the thing that's always been the constant in my life, that if I had stress about anything, I could always get it out on the volleyball court. You know, and whenever I was feeling lost or like a lack of purpose or a lack of sense of direction, volleyball was always there, sort of being like a guiding force for me. I mean, seriously, like it's like you hear those stories about the little kids that grow up in the projects, and it's like dad's not around, like mom is addicted to crack, and like ball is life. Like I'm not saying my life was anywhere near that.
No.
But the point is like like ball is fucking life. Like it really, whether it's like it's more just the principle of volleyball too, right? It's not even just like results and winning, and it's just about the essence of volleyball and sportsmanship and that whole lifestyle that ensues because of that. Yeah.
No doubt. It was for me. It became my girlfriend for a long time. I actually had a girlfriend walk out the door and say, "You already have a girlfriend." That's one of the coolest lines I ever heard on the breakup. And I'm like, and she's like, "You already have a girlfriend. Bye." You know, whatever. And for a long time, I just thought that those people they just don't understand. And I wasn't wrong. I wasn't completely wrong about that. They don't understand. Sometimes you go into a relationship and it's like, listen, this is a part of my life. And they're like, no, that's a hobby. And I'm like, no, this is who I am, you know. For the most part, I'm other things, but from a collective whole, if you don't want to hear me, if you don't want the majority of your conversations to be about volleyball, we might not. This might not work. Duran, the program director in the summer, when her husband passed away, she got with Tony, and she's like, "Look, this is my schedule," and you know, program director is even more so, like balls deep in it, neck deep in it. So yeah, here's my schedule, and you have to share this with me, but but at the same time, I'm there with you. They're not separate things.
Oh, and I think that's like a huge struggle, especially as like a female athlete, especially in relationships. You know, it is like you said, like volleyball is like your main relationship, and I think like as a woman, it's very easy to like settle in like the complacency and comfortability of being with a man, and like them sort of like replacing that, and then all of a sudden, and this was kind of happened to me when I finished college. I was like very like relationship dependent with the guy I was with, and that's part of the reason I was like, do I want to do volleyball? Like I was like about to marry this dude, and it was like I knew like he had a great job, like I knew I would always be like safe with him,
right?
You know, but like it was like I had a feminist mystique moment where I was like, holy shit, like I'm gonna wake up 35 with like 3 kids and like have not pursued my dreams and like my goals, and have shoved like volleyball to the side and made it like the mistress instead of the main bitch. And I'm gonna be like, where the fuck did my life go? You know, and then I'm gonna have to vicariously live through my kids, and that sounds terrifying to me. So
it's terrifying until it's not.
Until you're ready. But it was like, you know, I'm 20,
I have a 2-year-old, but consider how old I am.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
You know
like,
what I'm saying?
I want to live my full life, pursue my full dream, and then it's like you have kids and do all that stuff. But as a woman, like it can become very tempting to like settle into that, you know, early, and then
it's I hate to say it's the easy way out, because it sounds like I'm bashing younger people who have kids.
Different.
But
everyone's different.
For you, that would have been the easier way out. And
exactly, for me.
I think you got to break some eggs to make an omelet, and that's what you're doing right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God! I mean, wow, that was a mouthful. That was no, because you're not. It's a mouthful because you're not alone. You're not by yourself in your sentiment right now, your assertion. We have someone doing tech right now who would probably share it. Miranda Gagne, volleyball player. She's teching for us. She's probably sitting there saying you're right. I was 25 100 years ago. I didn't want to.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
we got shit to do.
Yeah, and it's like I just had that feminist mystique moment. I was like, I need to like go after my dream and do this shit.
Dave
And
Sassy, I love how real you are.
and oh, now I got distracted. Thank you.
Sorry, you're gonna there's
Um,
gonna be a lot of messages coming in. So
but no, like I think the point was that I also realized like as a woman, like I think as a man, there's a lot of pressure by society to like make money and be successful because that's what defines you as a man. And like if you aren't doing those things, like you a real man? And for a woman, it's like more the like emotional aspect that we bring. Like we love everyone, we take care of things, we connect people.
yeah,
And so for a woman, like there's a lot less of that pressure to go out and make something on your own. Like you can, at the end of the day, you can always find someone to take care of you. Like you'd always settle and like have someone just like take care of you.
yeah.
And I found myself with that fashion designer that I was working for in a way, and the relationship I was in out of college, like those temptations of like, wow, I could take the easy way out right now. It'd be so easy. But you know, when I lost everything and I quit that job, it really hit me like this was the right fucking choice. Like the things worth having in life, you have to do it on your own.
Yeah.
You have to do it on your own. Like you can't depend on anybody else or expect anyone to hand you anything. And if something seems too good to be true or like an easy route, like the reality is it's gonna end up it's gonna end up costing you so much more than you ever actually could have gotten out of it. And I'm thank God, like I realized that early when I was like 22, just getting started and all this, rather than like at a very pivotal point in my career. You know, it's just like it was all just starting, and I think that was such a blessing, you know, to go through all that stuff then. So like I won't make those mistakes now when it's like
Alexa, it's a blessing. Alexa, it's a blessing knowing yourself at an early age like this. Okay, I'm going to let you in on a little secret that some out there might find unequivocally safe. And I told you this off camera before. You know, I literally picked this girl up at the airport to bring her. I'm like, yeah, we're doing a podcast. Let's go. But my Uber, fuck your Uber. You figured it out at a very early age for two reasons. One, I'm gonna put it in bland terms. So let me get this straight. There's a 25-year-old girl out there that doesn't want to have kids and get married because she wants to have fun. Wow. Someone who's straight, that likes guys, wants to party and play volleyball and have a good time, and at the same time pursue her profession. Oh, I'm over fucking whelmed. Come on, that's why even, you know, I mean, we're having this conversation because it's important to the two of us, but like after two, it's like why do we even need to fucking rationalize? Why is that even a rationalization? That's mind blowing.
In reflection, you're just like, I don't know, like even like playing volleyball, like I don't know how when I graduated college, like I did not fucking realize this is what I wanted to do immediately. Like it now that I can see clearly and the journey, like you never know where the fuck it's gonna lead. Like this path is winding and always changing. We're not really in control of that. But like volleyball is the constant. It's been the thing that's always kept me on the straight path. And now I'm realizing like as long as I just keep following the volleyball, like everything else will work, and you know, and be a good person in the process.
Which leads me to my second point. My second point is, because you're doing this, if in the distant future, I'm not going to say near, that you decide that, you know, I think I'm going to have a kid or two or this or that. If you decide to do that,
can have like
the whole concept,
baby daddies, different breeders, different ethnicities.
Yeah,
you know,
come
so
on. No, I think they all went in on that one.
I think I have a diverse gene pool.
No, but I think they're all with that. You're gonna have, it's gonna look like Angelina Jolie's kids and shit.
I'm never getting married though.
No, but the point is this. People say having a kid changes who you are, but because you're taking this certain path, and I'm using myself as an example, and Jessica told me this. Both Jessica said this, McGuire and the other one said, you're still Jason and Kelly, you just have a kid.
Yeah.
So if the point is, if you decide to have kids, you don't fall through this protocol that just because you're a mother, you have to do this, you have to be like this, you have to do this, you have to fucking start learning how to bake cookies, you have to do all these things that dramatically change who you are as a person. So
I'm pretty domesticated. Yeah. I can already bake cookies.
You could throw down? You could throw down cookies?
I'm a great cook, actually.
I could throw down chicken parm.
That's what happens. I date these guys and they think I'm like this domesticated thing that I'm not, because I'm a great chef.
No, domesticated things don't have six packs. I'm sorry.
No, I totally agree. And
I'm
you know,
round. Round is the shape.
There's so many women out there on the tour, moms, amazing athletes that are crushing it with kids. Like so much respect for them.
Yeah.
You know, it's just
Look at Carrie.
Yeah.
Still the same person. She just has kids.
Yeah. You know, so I'm not like trying to like disparage or take anything away from those female athletes doing that because that's
no, you're quite the opposite. You're trying to say know yourself first.
Yes,
you're saying that I'm breaking in here because it's necessary. You're saying that know yourself and become, and if you become, and it'll make you a better parent.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, because you're right. Society does shape it like that. We're supposed to, you know, what after you work, right? You're supposed to get a job, and then when you get a job, you're supposed to have, and men. I'm not speaking for all men. Men, it's fucking terrifying. It's so stressful and terrifying because
like I can be poor as you know, I can be a poor chick, like get a hot girl job and like kind of like wing it for a while. It's like as a man, it's like oh, like you do this job, like I won't go on a date with you. And I'm not saying I'm like that.
No, they just have to be hot,
in general,
like me.
Let's just be honest, like that's how society like. It's like there's this whole feminist thing going on, but I like feel bad for the dudes too. Like we've all got our own shit going on that's tough, and all these stereotypes we're trying to battle. And if everyone just sort of focused on themselves and just trying to be the best them, I think.
Well, I think because it's ever changing, and because you see this this constant evolution of women from let's go back 40 years up to the present, couldn't wear pants in church, couldn't have a job, still being paid 70 cents on the dollar and this and that, which I'm gonna tell you a joke about that later. Where of course nobody's gonna give a fuck about the man, right? I mean the women generally are always gonna have it harder. You know what I mean? If you saw a homeless guy a homeless guy with a dog, you feel sorry for the dog.
Why, right? We know why. Why it's been that way throughout society and time. It's because men are terrified of women being able to empower themselves with their bodies, and the pussy is power. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah. So, that's right. So is the mine. I think considering who I'm with right now, and you've only known her a little bit. You're preaching to the converted. I'm not. I speak for myself, and I speak for my close friends that we're not intimidated to have someone in our lives on that intimate level who just may be a little bit stronger than us in some areas, or even most. I'm good. I mean, just to think, I resisted. To think, I hesitated.
There's nothing like sexier and more intimidating at the same time than like a strong, independent, smart woman that knows what she wants.
I love you, Dave Sassy. Volleyball in life. Be a good person. We have a lot of animal cultural programming to overcome. Yeah, my boy. He's a double A guy, and he's also an opera. He's an opera guy. Wow. I don't know to what extent, but lives in San Francisco and used to come to New York. We just played doubles in Central Park all the time. I wish you went to Central Park. They would have loved it.
I meant to get out there and do that. I biffed it.
The guys did. The guys did because they got ran off. Scheduled time on center court, they got ran off. So Trevor, Tri, Rosie, and Ricardo, they all went out there.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I promoted the hell out of it too. I used to coach in New York. So there's an exceptional seniors game, like a showcase. You kind of just tell the program director, there's the AVP, and then you got a bunch of teenage kids rolling up in there 40, 50 large,
Yeah.
So
that's a great thing about beach volleyball. It brings such eclectic and different people together like that. It's like, especially in just like that combined in conjunction with the beach culture. It's like,
no doubt,
you have 70-year-olds and then you have little teenagers and everyone's playing together and just vibing over volleyball.
No doubt. Awesome. We're gonna take some questions on Instagram and on Facebook. But before we do, can you put up the picture? Because I know she's doing some modeling and this and that. And it's more of a beach picture. It's like my favorite one, dude. It's like the top one.
Yeah, the modeling.
One is a video, one is like a picture.
The modeling, I've always just done it sort of for fun, like organically.
Let's see that shit. Look at that.
Yeah, that's the essence of me for sure in a nutshell.
It's like smoke show. Oh yeah, wow. Yeah, all of a sudden everyone's joining.
I'm a tiger.
Cool. Do you have your phone? Because I see a ton of people asking questions on Instagram. All right, cool.
Phone died.
Classic. My phone died.
So are you an ice cream person or cupcakes?
Oh, both. But my favorite.
She said, I gotta choose.
I have the biggest sweet tooth. My favorite foods are literally rainbow sherbet ice cream from Baskin Robbins. I've been having that since I was like little.
Nothing, right?
And I hate that it's called this name because it sounds so phallic, but those big stick popsicles that are cherry and pineapple flavored.
Yeah.
You know the ones I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Those are I could eat like 10 boxes of those, no problem.
So you pool or beach?
Pardon?
Beach or pool?
Oh, beach all day.
All day, 7
Yeah.
days a week,
Yeah,
right?
no doubt.
Oh my God. Somebody in our lives or before us that you think deserves a good ass kicking in the history of time to the present.
Well, the obvious one is Hitler.
Yeah.
I just love to shove
Oh my
shove
God,
this
right?
man this foot up his ass.
Yeah. Fuck it, Donald Trump too. We ain't get this. We don't have to disguise President Bash. If he needs an ass kicking, he's an ass kicking. This isn't a Crips versus Republican conversation. With apologies to Crips and Bloods. Sorry, guys.
Something interesting. I was actually when I was in New York at this gala thing for the John McCain Foundation, met John McCain's wife, and they had all these reporters there that had experienced some kind of like had been under arrest or like had to flee their country because of persecution, like speaking out against their governments.
Right.
So particularly there were reporters there from Venezuela and Turkey, which are two countries with really gnarly conflicts going on right now.
And at the time that was when it started to.
It's terrible right now. Like it's worse right now than it's ever been. Like in Venezuela, literally like a drug cartel controls the government.
Yep.
But so this reporter from Venezuela was talking about how President Trump, she's like, I have these mixed feelings about him because he's the first U.S. president that's like really showed like incentive to like actually help us beyond just, words.
Yeah.
So it's like, it surprised me, it's like, say what you want to say, but then like there are actions that he seems like this type of person, and he is genuinely trying to help like a country that like people have ignored for the past 20 years.
And that's the point I was getting to. I think once people just stop, because we have friends, intelligent friends, that they see an issue, and instead of just having their own first take, it's like, well, I'm a Democrat. What does my party have to say about this? A Republican. What does my party have to say about this? This is why when unemployment goes down, like under the Obama administration, you're going to have the right to say, oh, it's because people stopped looking for work. But then when it's down under the Trump administration, the same party is not gonna say that.
Yeah.
They're not looking for work. So it's one of those things where I personally don't like Trump, but I don't take these things and make illogical connections. Like if someone has a story, Trump has a little day. If I don't like him, I'm inclined to believe that. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
So if he's doing something well and then doing something consistent with the president being the president of the United States, I applaud. And if he's doing something that he's not, I'm gonna be like, hey, I got a problem with that. And I just think,
I'm a political science major, econ minor, and I like love learning and talking about this stuff. It's obviously been a little bit harder in the past couple of years because people get so emotional about it. And I think just like for us millennials, what's so tough is like with the two-party system, the fact that you have to compromise one value for another. Like, what if you're fiscally conservative? And I think a lot of our generation is more fiscally conservative
and socially
liberal.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I have to settle them for being a Republican if I value the economy, or if, in that way, or a Democrat if the social issues are more important. It's like, and the two-party system like never existed. Like it's not in our constitution. Nothing says it has to be this way.
No.
It's just something that we've sort of created as like the norm, and now it's like you have to vote Democrat or Republican, and the primaries and all those elections.
Gotta break the wheel.
Yeah, all those. And so in that way, I think ironically, whatever you feel about Trump, he is forcing us as a society to like look at the status quo of what is American politics and reassess the two-party system. And my hope is that going forward, we'll see more diverse, like in France, they have like 20 political parties.
It's probably why, like a lot of people who are celebrities that are close friends of his, that the opposite party thinks are good people, the reason why they like Trump is because maybe they know that side of him.
Mhm.
That I'm not,
It's not even anything to do with his side or his
no, it's
personality,
just about provoking thought and
Yes.
debating
yes.
and just getting in and getting stuff done.
Yeah.
Jesse Ventura, okay, ran as an independent. He
Mhm.
was the mayor of Brookline, Minnesota, and I know you got to go, Miranda, in a bit. Ran on $425,000 for the governor's thing, independent. Got in the debates because his thing, and maybe even yours and mine, if we could debate him, we could beat him. If you poll enough to get in the debates, we could beat him. And he won as an independent. Okay, and because he was an independent, the Democrats and Republicans had to work together. They had a budget surplus the first 3 years. They had a budget deficit the last year because he shot down the budget, but the two of them got together and 2/3 him. So it was one of those things where he's like, okay, I'm out of here. But he's a shining example of when everybody's like, it's not going to change. Why not? You have a governor of an entire state.
Yeah.
That was a wrestler, a former a frogman, Navy SEAL,
Yeah.
and a wrestler. So I think Trump, if there's any good time to have a political revolution, where it's not, you're not looking at someone as a Democrat or Republican, even if they're with that party, whether they're running on their own ticket or whether they're running as someone else. Just we as a collective whole are stopping to think like that. What if I like my guns and my gay people? Let's arm gay people everywhere. Let's give them an AR-15.
Yeah. I
And I'll let you have the last word because
I just think
Maria's gotta get out of here.
America's like the hot girl, in high school that everyone's like, oh, she's a babe, but then behind her back, everyone's talking shit.
We decided we hate her.
Yeah, and I think something that's so important for us as a country that I think we've a little bit lost sight of is like at the end of the day, like we're like the public, everyone's looking at us, and in that way, we have like this moral and ethical obligation, I feel like, to be better than most people and like sort of set the standard on like treat other people the way you want to be treated. And I think like we have the ability to make that a contagious thing that other countries will follow.
Yeah.
So I just think it's like that's what I would like to see out of our government is like, be the change you want to see
and with that being said, my God, time won't give me time. Me and this girl could have gone all
that was so
day.
Fast.
Yeah, so we gotta guess.
About volleyball.
Yeah, but that's what the option's about.
Yeah,
the option is about people taking a volleyball player and you said before this podcast, people think they know you and they don't, and it's just maybe they get to know you a little bit at a time like this. Let's do this again.
Yeah,
let's do this again when fucking poor Miranda's got more time.
I got lots more stories.
Oh, me too, man. We could go all day. Let's get in Let's get in. Who is it? Let's get in Troy Field with us too. All right.
Sounds good.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
Magnificent, guys. That's all I got. Hey, I'll see you guys tomorrow. We got Cassie House in the house tomorrow. Okay. Peace out. We out.